All right. Let's get started. And for the benefit of our guest today, Krista, this is the Trusted Referral Network. We are a network of about 170 members in North America, and of independent marketing, sales, and advertising professionals, all service providers. And I would say there's a lot of sole practitioners, as you will see from this group here. We've got some firms up to about 20 people. And the concept is that we're all, specialists in one way or another, whether it's by industry or by, function. Being small companies, we can only do so many things and do them well. So we often have the opportunity to collaborate, refer business to one another. And this is a forum whereby we can meet others, get to know them, get to understand where their capabilities are, and create opportunities for collaboration. And we meet weekly. We alternate between Tuesday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern and Wednesday mornings at 11 Eastern. And as I said, we usually get between 10 and 20 people. Over time, I hope to build that up and get more people engaged. But right now I'm spending a lot of time on tweaking the platform that I had hoped to release several months ago, but still working on. But fortunately, we have a good platform that is workable. Everybody gets a free rolling trial, 6-month trial, and that seems to be working. So we also try to have a presenter at each of the meetings, a showcase presenter. It's 15 minutes. We actually have openings sort of from here on out. So if people are interested in taking 15 minutes and telling people what you do and going to greater depth, I don't know who hasn't. Is anybody? Dave, have you done a presentation? Lynn Donaldson has.
Not yet.
You have not, and Lynn has not. David has not. Right? David, did you?
Have.
You have, yeah. So whoever has not, well, obviously, would you be preferred? Particularly if you've done one recently, we'd rather you sort of hold off and allow others, unless there's an opening and you have a topic that's unique. I'm certainly willing and open to having people do a presentation. So today, the showcase presentation is going to be led by Keith Reynolds, and Keith. Let me give you the screen. I assume. Share. Okay, now you have the screen, or you have access to the screen. I'll put my timer on for 15 minutes. I'll give you the warning at 10. When we've gone through 10 minutes, do you want people to chime in either verbally or chat, or wait till the end?
If you have a question, raise your hand and let me know, and then we'll hopefully have a little time for questions. I'll try and get through quickly.
And for those who don't know how to, there's where is it? Under reactions, there's a reaction emoji thing, and you could raise your hand. There's a button that says raise hand, right?
Yep.
As in, I'll show you how to do it. Raise hand. It's reactions. There, my hand is raised now. And Andre is applauding my ability to raise my hand. Thank you, Andre. Okay.
I'm driving, so if you see one, just let me know.
All right, take it away.
Terrific. Thank you, everybody. I know many of you, and I'd like to get to know the rest of you. Michael, thank you. This is a great group. I built some good relationships here in the last, through the pandemic. It's been great. About 10 years ago, I started my journey from moving from websites and internet marketing centered around who we are, what we do, buy my stuff website, to creating much more sophisticated, almost media properties, blogs on steroids, and the idea that you can create a channel for your customers has driven what I've done, because I started a blog. I was following HubSpot, and one day I got an email over the transom, would I like to testify to Congress? And that led to a meeting in New York, which led to a meeting in Washington, D.C., which led to a meeting with Sandia National Laboratory. And through one of their vendors, they acquired one of our products to evaluate. And that journey kind of set me off for the next 10, 12 years of my career. I guess it's 2022, 12 years of my career. I've done some really big versions of that. And the largest two were with Kodak and Vodafone when I was working for an agency. And I led the strategy and account management on building these media properties, I called them. And the thing that made them unique is they were just like a magazine in an industry, but instead of selling advertising, we were selling, download our stuff, become part of our ecosystem. And we used HubSpot on the back end of an online magazine. We had a quarterly webinar, we had a monthly article, we curated news. And in the case of Kodak, they had a really great brand to step into the industry when they came out of bankruptcy. And in the packaging industry, they created this website. And when I did that, I came up with this 7-bucket methodology. And what I've learned is if you're trying to plan a content strategy, these are the 7 things that you can focus on with your team and with your executives, and it'll help you get content initiatives funded. Very much like a media company has to build a business case and know their audience around bringing a new show or magazine or any media property to market. This is a way for a marketing department to start thinking like a media company so that they produce content on a regular basis. And I, right before the pandemic, I wrote a little book called The New Content Culture about my experience. And then the pandemic happened, and I've sat inside and developed what I have now, which is an online course. I do consulting. That can be a very large 6-month project for doing market research and SEO and bringing all of the environment that your customer audience is going to be immersed in already, and figuring out then with those 7 buckets, how do I create a strategy to reach them. And in the last several months, I've partnered up with a company in New York City called SAM AI, which is a small CRM. It's very light, but it's developed a concept for their own marketing, and now they've turned it into a product called Roundtables. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today, how I learned to apply those 7 buckets to the idea of putting together roundtables. And if you think about it, we're on this meeting today. Most of us know each other. We always convene, occasionally having a new person on the call, but the dynamic is it's very discussion oriented. Michael leads an agenda. We all go around the room and introduce ourselves. Sometimes there's a topic like today. I'm talking about roundtables. But it's a format that works. And now imagine if you got an email to join a peer discussion group with people you didn't know. And what I've learned is by applying those 7 buckets to building your roundtable, I've created a little niche or a little product with SAM AI around putting a roundtable together. So I just wanted to go through that real quick. What is this is presentation 2. All right, so this is really looking at it from a what is lead generation standpoint, not what is a roundtable, but putting on peer events to give you tools to do lead generation. I'll often start with a poll.
Do you want to switch to your other presentation, or do you want to go ahead with this one?
No, this is fine. It's basically the same information. So, from a tactical standpoint, you've got to have and coordinate lead capture. You've got to have some lead magnets. You want to qualify leads, and you want to segment those. And if you can have a list and a topic that match, you'll have a very high probability of, in today's world, I say that wrong, not a high probability. You will have a probability, and that's one of the things we'll talk about, of gathering people together. And these, as you gather them together, these are the things that you need to keep in mind in terms of managing them for your own purposes. And that's where a CRM comes in. One of the really interesting things about, I think we all know, is that referrals and partnerships are the ways that we generate, most businesses generate their leads. I see between 80 and 95% of lead generation for senior, especially for senior level and mid-level kinds of products, come through your business development reps. That's why there's a BDR function within companies, because so many of the leads come through that channel. However, over the transom channel from my inbound is also a pretty significant amount of lead production within a company. And it reinforces the referrals, because if somebody hears about you, the first thing you're going to do is go look at your website. So your content online and your referrals and your partners all work together. And thought leadership is really the vehicle you have to capture people's attention. And in this study from Edelman, 59% of decision makers are predisposed to see a company as more trustworthy and do business with them than those companies that are not viewed as a thought leader. And at the end of the day, it helps you close more business when you're viewed as a thought leader, and have more discussions at the top of the funnel. Additionally, we've all been sitting around in a digital world just like this, with people all over the world on a daily basis. So the audience that we're trying to reach, if we're trying to reach executives and CEOs, is predisposed to this medium that we're sitting on right here today. And what we're trying to do in meeting those people is have people come into a system that we arrange. So if we can arrange that audience from, I have no idea who you are, to you've become aware of me, to we start to have a conversation because you are interested, you have some demand for what I'm doing, and you'll consider it, and you may or may not purchase. But if I'm successful, you will purchase and become an advocate for my business. And you can set your CRM, or the purpose of setting up a CRM is to manage conversations at scale along that journey. And the 7 buckets include marketing automation. So that's why we have marketing automation. When you have an audience, how do you manage them? And it looks something like this, right? We have our North Star idea. We have a business strategy, our go-to-market. We do research. We understand the SEO, what Google thinks of content in our space. And then we go out and do things to create attention for ourselves in the marketplace, right? The cheapest way to do it is to get good organic traffic, but we advertise, we do PR, we have events. Some of the things we do are digital, and some of the things we do are in person. But traditionally, for the last 10, 15 years, inbound marketing has been around getting people to fill out a form, right? Come to my landing page, come to my content hub, fill it out, download my stuff, go into my database, and then I can email and retarget advertising. And that's the marketing automation ecosystem versus your customer relationship ecosystem, where you're moving people through the funnel, right? They've dropped in. Well, the thing about having a roundtable is you actually go right from what you're doing to create attention for yourself with that audience into the CRM, right? Into your sales process. So what you end up doing in these roundtables, I found out, is short circuiting and getting people directly into a sales conversation. And a roundtable is a brainstorming discussion, right? And so you really want to focus on matching the list of
9.5 minutes left. I'm sorry, 5.5 minutes, 4.5 minutes left. Sorry.
You want to match people around a topic where they're willingly going to show up. So you really have to understand the target audience. To lead a problem-solving discussion. And you, importantly, let everybody on the call, like we do on this call, exchange our contact information. And that combination of helping them facilitate a conversation around a problem or topic that's of interest to them in a community building call turns out to be a lead generation strategy that is pretty interesting. Because it's very targeted and personal. It does promote your thought leadership, but instead of presenting in a webinar format, you're facilitating. And by asking questions, you're being viewed as the thought leader without ever having to say, I, me, my, buy my stuff. And it can be done virtual, physical, or I did one recently with an owl, which is $1,000 camera that sits at a conference room, and it creates a hybrid event. I grabbed this off of the CEO Roundtable, which is a nonprofit group. And these are their principles for holding a roundtable, right? It's really about a bond of trust and people bringing people together to solve a problem together, or discuss something. And so you have to have a process to do that. I'll show you very quickly. This is SAM AI. This is a mailing I just did recently. We emailed 4,200 people. We got 32 people to say yes, they accepted. And we got 38 people to say maybe. We had 31 people decline and a few bounces. I mean, so it was a pretty good turnout. So what I've been doing then is applying my 7 buckets to your roundtable. So in my sales process, working with a client, I'll go through and say, who's your audience? What's the question, right? So that's our North Star. What's the question that will draw and attract that audience? What's our editorial strategy? How are we going to promote and distribute? What our community events is the event itself. Then, SAM AI is the marketing automation. And the thing that makes it unique, twofold. One, all of the sign up and registration is very thin. There's no landing page. You respond right from within the email. And they have something called the super connector. So as you build your roundtable audience, you also start to be able to mine through the super connector. They're the people that you meet with and see who might become your referral network. It works like Sales Navigator a bit, in that you can see who people are and who they're connected to, and ask for referrals. So that's what I've been on a journey presenting. I'll open it up to conversation, but for the last 2 weeks, I've been out doing roundtables and I'm showing you, and I'd love to see what your thoughts are, or if you see any opportunities. Thank you. Hey, Victor.
Okay. Victor has a question.
Sure. Thanks, Keith. That was great. You always have something new and interesting. So it's going to take me the rest of the year to wrap my head around this thing. So when you're holding so you're saying you're blasting something out, you create a roundtable that you're leading as a lead generation mechanism for yourself, where you're pitching them your basic your Publio product.
There's no pitch. No,
well, not pitch, but I mean,
ulterior
motive.
We drew, for example, a group of financial service executives and did a roundtable discussion on using AI for lead generation. Right. So these were production-oriented people who needed senior relationships, and we didn't pitch them anything, except at the end we just said, brought to you by Publio and SAM AI. We'd love to help you. If you got value from this, this is an example of a roundtable.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. All right. That's great.
We have a couple more questions. Krista?
Sure. So you said that you created this roundtable for the financial people using AI for lead generation. So that's very specific. I'm assuming that it's not necessarily going to work as a recurring event for people to come back and build community, or maybe it would. And also, so you don't necessarily have to have the expertise that they have to create the roundtable? Tell me more about kind of, so I can brainstorm and think along the lines of types of topics, because I've been wanting to do this for a long time.
So you don't have to be an expert. You have to be a good facilitator, and keep the conversation moving along, and ask, questions that drive conversation, and then let the people at the roundtable solve it for themselves. They really get a lot of value by talking.
I'm good at that.
There you go. And you ask good question. And then the second part of your question was about the format, was it?
Well, the topics, kind of brainstorming ideas for topics. So if I don't have to be the expert,
You really have to match the list to the topic. That's kind of the art within the science. So if you're talking to sales executives, using AI to improve your lead generation seems to be a pretty hot topic in terms of what I've been doing.
And it happens to, in your case, it happens to perfectly match what you do.
It's very meta, yeah.
But for me, because I'm a writer, not everyone's going to want to come to a roundtable specifically about writing, but I have other topics that we can talk about.
Exactly. Brought to you by, I have a financial service executive who's not allowed to talk about risk or reward or return, right? So he has this whole presentation around how to improve your networking. And he'll gather people around and at the end say, and I'm Joe Fabitz, and I have this unique approach to wealth management. This interesting discussion and all the people you met today and exchanged your contact information with is brought to you by me. So he delivered one message.
We'll take one more question because we do want to move on to our intros. Dave Anderson had a question.
Yeah. Hey, Keith. Nice presentation.
Hey, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah. I was curious to hear more about how roundtable participants tend to go into the sales process rather than the marketing managed part of the funnel. Is it that the topic you've selected pre-qualifies them as a potential buyer? Is it that the topic attracts people who are decision makers, or both? Because I know one of the things I see in B2B funnels is that it might be the right person, but they're not, if they're not at the point where they need the solution, then they tend to kick around the marketing part of the funnel until there's a need.
Yes. And I mean, even those people are good to have in your database. And if you can keep them from opting out, that's, one of the goals as a marketer. You can't force people to buy. But on the other hand, if you're out in the market with a roundtable on a regular basis, you're there when they're ready. I think that's the best way I could answer it. I think that the big thing is that thought leadership's always been important. We're now in a realm where, people are less likely to click and download. That's so 10 years ago. And this idea of jumping on Zoom is something new and interesting. People are a little more open to it than they would have been maybe 2 years ago.
Very cool. I think maybe you might want to do a roundtable on roundtables and invite everybody in this group on it to it. It's fascinating. It just since I have the floor, quick question to clarify things. How does SAM AI actually enable this differently than, or more so than another type of CRM?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The thing that I've really, and it's a very easy, light CRM. So you could even use it in it. I go through an ROI analysis looking at what happens when you email 5,000 people and then compare that to your funnel numbers related to our experience of getting people on to the platform. For 5,000, you end up with basically 5 leads in general. There's some that are doing better and they're getting 200 people to show up and getting 20 and 30 leads out of this. But it's very unique to the audience and the topic. I'm sorry, and your question, I just lost.
What is it about SAM AI?
SAM AI enables very quick registration. So within the invite that you get, it says yes, no, or maybe. You don't have to go to a landing page. You don't have to go to an Eventbrite. You don't have to fill out a Zoom form. It's just, oh yeah, there's a really interesting And I've kind of created a letter format that's very low key. Hey, would you like to join your peers and talk about this topic? So people just say yes, and then we send reminders, and we'll have 80 to 100 people say yes or maybe, and we'll have 20 people show up.
Sounds good. All right, let's move on. I'm going to put in the chat the order more or less in which people showed up. I'm starting with Andre, then Lynn, then Krista. I want to give Krista the benefit of having at least 2 people go before her. It's not as if this is brain science or anything, but as we usually do, just please introduce yourself. I'll give everybody, let's see, we got 12 people. So 2 minutes, yeah, it's about 2 minutes to do a quick presentation. I'm sorry, introduction, what you do, how you can help others, what you're looking for, if you've got a specific ask, who you'd like to meet. Those are the types of things I think will be helpful. And also, if you can add something that's unique about yourself, either going on a trip or, whatever, that helps people remember who you are, because they'll come back to me and say, Michael, who is the guy whose first job was, hanging upside down, whatever. And I'll hopefully remember. If not, I have the video. So we can always go back to the video, as they say in sports. So the order in which I sent this, or maybe I didn't send it, now it is Andre, then Lynn, then Krista, then Bryce. So, and you'll hear me, I'll put this up as well as you'll hear it. If everybody could go on mute, I'm going to switch to speaker mode so that the speaker gets full screen on the recording. So I'm sorry. So I said Andre first, Andre, then Lynn, then Krista. Andre, you're up.
Hello, everybody. Great to be back. I've known Michael about 10 years probably, but and as he said, as we kind of got into this, I've been involved in this group for about a year. Funnily enough, I just noticed that Victor Lee sent me a private message. He and I go back about 15 years, come to think of it. I am in the process of I'm very, very close to being able to announce that I have landed a new role with basically a Salesforce integrator, somewhat of a new world for me, but I kept running into in the various, so I've been in media sales for the last 18 years, and a lot of the platforms and companies that are doing media sales at scale really were looking for people who had more SaaS experience. So I'm getting some SaaS experience. Some might say I'm sassy enough, but that's another story. At the end of the day, it's a brand new thing. Next Friday would be day one. And I'm looking forward to starting this new adventure.
Very cool. Anything you have in terms of an ask? Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any particular ask?
Too soon to tell. If anyone has, the easiest is if anyone has any particularly strong relationships with Salesforce. Apparently, a lot of our business is actually generated not client direct, but through Salesforce, and they manage a good portion, but not even close to all, and probably less than 50% of their actual installations and integrations. Part of this, and then I'll close, that's intriguing to me is that the 12 years that I spent at Reach Local and or Gannett, the folks who bought Reach Local, the installation of Salesforce was horrific for the entire time. So if I can help bring sanity to that process, all the better.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. Congratulations. Lynn Donaldson.
Thank you.
You're up.
Thank you, Michael. So the magic for product launch success really is in the strategy. Product launch of pharmaceutical and medical device product is complicated, and developing lots of tactics really isn't the answer. The magic of the success is in the clarity and high level of the strategy. Medical directors within pharmaceutical and medical device companies reach out to me because they are unsure that they have the right level of experience and high level thinking that is required to ensure a successful product launch. they often worry that if they fail the product launch, launch the product at the highest level, leading to maximum impact and sales, their careers will be in jeopardy. That's a real fear, because product launches that fail kill careers. And this is where we do our best work. We become their right-hand person to lean on from pre-launch through to launch, developing their strategy and then helping them implement that strategy. The kind of people we're looking for, as I said, are medical directors in mid-sized pharmaceutical or life science companies, medical devices companies, who maybe have come from a large company to a smaller company and are really not sure that they can do the product launch all on their own. I'm Lynn Donaldson from Connect-A Strategic Solutions Group. A unique thing at the moment, or it's not unique, is that we're trying to sell our house because we're moving to Atlanta. And I have never been through such a traumatic process in the whole of my life as selling a house in the US. And so if anybody's got any suggestions or even knows somebody who wants to move into the New Jersey area, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's not just New Jersey, it's Basking Ridge, isn't it?
It is, yes, beautiful area, fantastic schools. And this is a 5-bedroom house with a little in-law suite. So if you've got mum and dad that you need to come stay with you, then that's where you're best placed, in somewhere like our house.
Look up a company called Health Strategies Group. They're a consulting firm, but they do a lot of work with pharma. I might be able to make an introduction there. Absolutely. And if people would put their LinkedIn URL in chat, that way everybody will have it. Of course, if you can't remember somebody's name or don't get the download for some reason, or somebody doesn't put their LinkedIn, you could always reach out to me if you want to connect with somebody, or just jot down their name and remember who they are. Okay, that was Lynn. Krista Giannak.
Thanks so much for inviting me today. I'm here because people hire me to help share their knowledge, wisdom, and impact through the written word. I work with thought leaders, experts, innovators, and other business owners who are, sometimes they'll come to me, they maybe some of them think they're ordinary or even boring. I love to prove them wrong. I love to show that everyone has a story. In fact, I used to shy away from my own personal story of overcoming fear to become a business owner, networker, and skier who just happens to be blind. I'm primarily a writer, but secondarily, I'm also a speaker that I facilitate workshops and help people to explore sharing their stories, leveraging those vulnerabilities and strengths to tell a better business story. Krista Giannak, Wise Words That Matter. And in the chat, I put some ideas for ways that I can collaborate with people, referral partners, all of that.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else in terms of specific asks that you might have?
Well, I'm looking to meet graphic designers, web designers, and other marketers and fellow creatives, because those tend to be my key referral partners. As far as other types of asks, I'm looking to collaborate with other people, potentially maybe creating some joint webinars that we can promote together, or other ways of I can be on people's podcasts or speak on panels, things like that, if that's helpful.
Wonderful. Yeah, there are a few people that focus on content, obviously, including Keith here. So I think Keith would be a good person to connect with afterwards as well. And there are at least one PR person. Let's see. Bryce, you're next, then David Anderson, then David Libby.
Hey, everybody. Good to see a lot of familiar and friendly faces. And Michael, good to be back. It's been a hell of a year this year, as we all know. And my moniker, or what I'm known as, is the Google Cowboy. And today I get to lean into that big time. So the question today is, what would happen to your business? What would happen for your clients if Google paid you $10,000 a month and you didn't have to pay Google for $10,000 a month of Google ad spend? Normally, this is just for nonprofit organizations, but we found a way to do it for for-profit organizations. So can I share? Yeah, I can share.
Sure.
So we discovered a way that we can get $10,000 a month for for-profit companies in a two-step sales process. And we've been testing this for 3 years. We called it Infinite Google because once you sign up for this program, you basically get $10,000 a month for free ad spend for as long as you own the nonprofit and the business that it's connected to. And so as you can see here, we tested this for about 3 years, about 1 million impressions, 73,000 web traffic, and we spent about $300,000 of Google ad spend that they didn't have to spend on this process. So it's a really powerful program. I've been super busy the last couple of weeks as we just released it. So if you're interested in exploring this for yourself, your own company, or any of your clients, we do have a collaboration program. I partnered with a sales company that's basically kept me on calls all last week, and I got more this week. So it's been really fun rolling this out, and it's been pretty fun, pretty interesting. So if you have any questions or want to connect, I'm happy to dive into it deeper. And I'll post a quick video here that will show the whole process. So thanks.
Very cool. Sounds very interesting. Sounds like an interesting hack. I'm not sure if you would call it a hack, but whatever you would call it, sounds cool.
Well, it literally what it is a Google scam. So Google literally went to the government and said, hey, I'll do some philanthropic things for nonprofits, and you guys give us a tax break. So they're essentially giving what costs them nothing, which is Google AdWord clicks for free to nonprofits, and they get a tax break for it. They rolled this out in 2003, and they've had it ever since. So we're taking advantage of Google taking advantage.
All right. Yeah, I'd like to learn more about it. Dave Anderson, then David Libby. We have back-to-back Daves.
All right. Well, thanks. So I'm Dave Anderson. I'm a fractional CMO and marketing strategist. I help B2B software companies to achieve measurable, predictable, profitable growth. And I start by helping companies to define their goals, helping them to choose the right marketing metrics to measure and create a plan for success. I create and execute campaigns for them on platforms like Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and digital trade media. And I help with content marketing programs, which could include webinars, white papers, or on-site SEO. Of course, email can still generate good results too. So I help companies set up their measurement systems, test marketing channels, and find a smart marketing mix unique to their situation competitively and their opportunities in the market. My ask is I have a new profile on Trusted Referral Network. Please check it out. I'll drop the link into chat. The company is Smart Marketing if you're searching it. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn there or through the chat. And great to be a new part of this network.
Well, welcome. And you're based again where?
I'm based in New York City, out of Brooklyn. I'm in my co-working space today in Prospect Heights.
And your focus, you said, is SaaS companies?
Yeah, B2B software, particularly SaaS.
Okay, B2B software. Wonderful. And anything that is interesting that will help people remember Dave Anderson?
I would say, like the acronym SMART Marketing. It should be strategic, it should be measurable, it should be action oriented, it should be ROI positive, and it should be targeted. So I will help people make their marketing smart.
Thank you very much, Dave. And the next Dave, David Libby.
Thanks, Michael. I think if we all put our heads together, we have one amazing marketing agency right here. My gosh, between Dave, Krista, and Keith, like, where's a new company right there? Hey, everybody, I'm David Libby. I run twopins.com. I'm almost a 30-year public relations professional. I focus on B2B technology, startups, and small to medium-sized enterprises. And yeah, Lisa, Dave Libby for CEO, nicely. Yeah, so I think, you know, when I talk to folks like yourselves, you know, I often think you're thinking about your own PR. Michael Falato is really good at his own PR. And you're thinking about like, oh, maybe if my client gets PR, you know, is that going to help? And especially in this market, in this recessionary slide, you know, being front and center is more important than ever. So, and I think too, I'll just give a quick story. You know, one of the clients we have came to us and said that they wanted to be in Forbes magazine again, and it would have been his third time, but he just raised $90 million during the coronavirus, right? Which is a hunk of cash during what, you know, everyone thought wasn't anything. If anything, we thought we were just, you know, at home doing nothing. And so we pitched the Wall Street Journal. We pitched a reporter that had no experience in business automation because we didn't want any bias in the article. There is such a thing as finding people that are not biased. And lo and behold, this guy bit on the story idea. He wrote a feature story. His deputy editor didn't want to do anything, but when he saw that story, he also wrote a story. And because the Wall Street Journal is so popular, that information got syndicated nationwide. So the moral of the story is, you know, if you're doing your own PR, or if your client's doing PR, just shoot high. You know, okay, thanks. Just think big. I saw that time, Michael. Thank you. Think big picture, think broad reach, think about who your target market audience is first and foremost, and don't shoot yourself in the foot. Okay. Hey, David Libby, 2pins.com. Good to see you.
Sounds good. Congratulations. Was that a recent win on Wall Street Journal?
It's 2020.
2020, not too long ago. And if anybody has some silver polish for David's tea set, is that silver?
It is real silver.
Yeah, it's a pain to keep that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly why it's the way it is. Yeah,
nobody.
It's called patina. That's what it is. It's patina.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. That's it. Listen, the Statue of Liberty has it. Why not for your own?
You know, I could Photoshop that photograph, you know, before I get on next time, so it looks better.
There you go. Michael Falato, you're up.
Hello, I'm Michael Falato. I am the founder of Full Throttle Falato Leads. I got the name Full Throttle from a Marine, and I'm an Air Force guy, so it just gives you an idea of kind of my work ethic. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a black belt, and that's kind of how I got the nickname from a cop that's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Marine. I started Full Throttle Falato about 14 months ago, and basically grew to about $70,000 a month MRR. So it's been going really well. I also took TechMate, which is an IT staffing gig economy approach company, from 250K to 2.8 million in the last 12 months. So that's in conjunction with building my own company. So since then, I'm just doing my company. I've kind of given up a fractional VP of sales job to kind of run my own company and help companies with lead gen, email and LinkedIn automation. The whole idea is to do it safely and at volume, and do it persona-based approach with analytics and an A/B test, kind of a Moneyball approach. So I set out about 20 to 30,000 emails a month, 150 invites a day. The whole idea is to book meetings so that you could focus in on proposal writing, deal creation, revenue generating opportunities versus what button should I press today? How can I find leads? What database do I need to buy? So I'm kind of a one-stop shop for data, automation, and expertise and consulting. So Michael Falato out here in Orlando, Florida, from Chicago originally. Would love to chat. If you or your clients need help, there's been actually David and Michael that's presented some referrals to me that hopefully should be getting some referral fees from me pretty soon.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Do you have any videos of yourself doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yep, I actually have one on my LinkedIn.
No, we will look for it.
Unless you want me to pull it up now.
Nah. Well, I think we're a little short on time, but maybe next time.
Enough about me.
All right. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah, isn't it? What's the term for that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Isn't there a special name? It's got its own name.
BJJ.
Oh, Brazilian.
Gracie
All right.
Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Maybe I was thinking of, there's another martial art that is
MMA.
uniquely Brazilian.
MMA. That's the
Okay.
overall arch, and there's
Mixed martial
capoeira.
arts.
Capoeira, where they're kind of a dance. It's more of a dance.
Yeah, that one.
Capyra? Capyra?
Capyra. Yeah,
No,
maybe that one.
Capoeira.
Hey, whatever. you call it.
Capoeira.
That's not even the right. That's not even the right pronunciation, but it's closer than the last one.
All right.
It's hard to talk.
Keep on
very
working on it,
athletic.
Jason. We have the Victor Lee and then Lee Barnathan team here. Victor Lee, you're up.
Okay, thanks, Michael. So I'll keep this quick because I see we're running out of time. So I'm Victor Lee. I think I know most of the folks here, but always happy to meet, the new people, some of the new folks on this. So what I do is basically I connect dots. I find interesting business situations where somebody gives me a call and says, "Hey, Victor, do you know somebody who does X?" And then I try to connect them with somebody in my network. So to me, basically everybody on this call is a dot. So, so for example, I've sent business to Andre when somebody said, "Hey, I need some local advertising," right? I'm trying to get a handle on Lynn and Rajiv had this new startup for project, for the pharma launches that I'm trying to understand a little bit so that I can see if I know anybody in my network who can help. And I've had interesting conversations, I think, with other, with Keith and with Bryce and Jason and other folks. And sometimes, they've been helpful to me with my projects. I said, "Hey, I've got this thing. Do you guys know anybody?" So in my efforts to, create more dots so I can connect them, I guess maybe, Michael, this goes to your point about anything interesting. Rajiv and I have created a podcast about networking because I think everybody wants to be a better networker. And, the topics come up several times on this call, right? People are always thinking about how to network better. So we have a podcast. It's called Things I Didn't Learn at Harvard. Michael has been a guest, and I will send a link I think I'll ask everybody on this call to follow us if you aren't already, and would love to get any feedback and thoughts and suggestions that people might have about that, the topic of networking. All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. And Victor can say with authority what he didn't learn at Harvard because he went there. Okay. Lee Barnathan.
Let's face it, swimming in a sea of millions that act, sound, think, and are alike makes it almost impossible to stand out. Maybe you try to do the writing or editing yourself, but you felt frustrated because the writing or editing took so much time and you got no profit from it. Or maybe you've worked with other writers and editors that left you feeling disenchanted and disillusioned because you felt like they didn't understand you. You felt like you wasted time and money and you're not sure you want to try someone new. And I get it. It's not easy to find a writer or editor who can understand your thoughts, feelings, and passions. You want a true partner in the writing or editing process, one who quickly recognizes that what you do is significant and that the marketing copy is attention grabbing, true to your vision and brand, and converts. I'm Lee Barnathan, LB Communications. My clients appreciate they're being heard, understood, and validated, and they love that their story gets told their way in their voice. They get excited that the writing or editing attracts more attention than their competition, and they love the financial rewards that come with writing or editing that converts. Now, I'm not saying I can do this for everyone, but if you or someone in your network feels gun shy because you or that person can't find a writer or editor who, number one, understands that what you have to say is valuable, number two, writes your marketing copy that reflects your passion, and three, earns you business, I can change your opinion of writers and editors and what they can do for you and your marketing. Similarly, if you're fed up with your own marketing materials, they don't rise to the level you need them to, I can provide a different style of writing or editing that will transform your copy. So when you or your network is ready, let's start a new writing, editing, or marketing project together. Talk to me. Here's my information in the chat. You can explore how I can be of benefit to you.
Thank you, Lee. And Lee's out in California, north of Los Angeles, in Los Angeles. Okay.
Yeah, north of San Diego, but I'm in Los Angeles.
That's north of Los Angeles is north of San Diego, which takes right to Jason Ciment, who's smack in the middle of Los Angeles, I think.
Okay, so I have two areas of my business. The first is an agency. It's called Get Visible. Been doing this since 2005. The short order is that we hack digital marketing techniques. So we do things that are sort of out of the box. I mean, everyone knows an uncle who can do rankings or manage some form of ads or put a social media site together. I would say we take it a level deeper. We're even copywriting a trademark for trademarking a name called Transcendent Marketing. So without getting into the details, I would say we're out of the box. And more importantly for this group, since there's a lot of people that do sort of what we do, I think something I can bring to the table for your clients is an alternative to Shopify or Magento or even WooCommerce for that matter, which is, I put it in the chat, it's another platform called Adricom, which stands for the American Dream Company, because the founder always wanted to move to America and he finally did, but he lives in Orlando where everybody speaks Portuguese. So he really screwed himself. It's sort of funny. Anyway, if you have clients that are frustrated with their Magento or Shopify environment, or they're looking for a sort of a more cost-effective way to get online because they're not a cookie cutter situation, then we should talk, because the Adricom system is homegrown and we have an API foundry that enables us to talk to many platforms. It's sort of like a built-in Zapier. So that's it. All good. Good to be here.
Hey, and I see the green screen back there in the other room.
Yeah, I got to use it one day.
Oh, so that's for Zoom.
You know what? The green screen doesn't break my flamingo, so I'm screwing the green screen.
Yeah, the pink flamingo. That's great. Who
Love
was it? The guy who created or popularized the pink flamingo, pink flamingo, died like 5 years ago or something. I can't remember.
I'm still in mourning.
You're still in mourning. There you go. All right. I didn't miss anybody, right? If I did, now's the time to speak up. Otherwise,
You had me on the list. Did you want me to say something, or am I already done?
I think, given they only have 3 minutes, can you do it in a minute?
I'll do it in a minute. So I just
Go
put my
for it.
contact in. There's a way to get on my calendar. I'd love to connect with you all. I really appreciate taking the time to listen to me. The one thing I would add in my minute is, if I go back to here, what I can promise you is to look at any situation. I talked about how we set up a roundtable, but we can look at it from what the program is and how to budget for it. But you'll notice on my website, I'm a nut for content marketing ROI. I love that part of the analysis and putting the puzzle together. And this is an example of looking at a client, what they did as a base case to do 300 cold calls a year and what it yielded them. And then we looked at how a roundtable program based on our past performance might work. And that's an analysis I'm happy to do with anybody. And Michael Falato, I'm from Chicago too, and I look forward to connecting with you. Sounds like we have some things in common. Thank you very much.
Cool. And I will give myself 2 minutes as well. So my name is Michael Bendit. My core business is Software Development Resources, which is an independent sales representation firm for boutique software development companies. My teams tend to be around 15 to 30 people. I do have a couple that are much larger than that. My job is to match the need, the programming need, the software development need with the right team that has the capabilities. About 60% of my work is in the marketing world, which is why I do a lot of networking in the marketing world. And we do really well partnering with digital agencies that don't always have the right resources or enough resources in-house to deliver what they need to deliver. Programming can be very detail oriented. It can be very tedious, and it's hard to keep really good people in the US within agencies if they're good programmers. They often want to go to a startup because they tend to pay better. They also provide equity opportunities, and so agencies often need extra help. Most of my work is with my dual shore teams. Those are teams that have some resources here in the US, but most of them are offshore. And so you get the benefit of the cost savings, but you don't have the issues involved with, time zone issues and language issues that come with working directly offshore. And would love to meet people who might need some help, whether they be a digital agency, a client who needs, to rebuild their website, has an idea about a mobile app, or an agency that represents or works with companies like that. So I will wind it up. Thank you all very much for showing up again. 80% of success is showing up. I think that's what That's what Woody Allen had to say. And you are all doing it.